Welcome to the D365 for Housing ASB module. During the module, we'll show you how to carry out risk assessments, how the product enables you to meet your SLAs, and show how it centralizes all customer and colleague contact about the case, and finally how it provides some detailed reports for you to drill down into the information. So to get the ball rolling, we create our CRM case. So we're going to say about noise next door. Our case number is automatically generated when we hit save, but we need to go off and grab the ASB subject. And we can see here we've got ASB, damage to property, domestic abuse and violence, harassment, hate crimes and noise. So obviously we go for noise. Then we go off and find the customer. When they reported it and how the report came in. So we're going to say via letter. The department it relates to, housing management, and then from here we can hit save. That's the sort of the basics of our case there. We can then add a description, provides a bit more detail. So a lot of noise coming from neighbours at the weekend. Options to resolve. Obviously you as an organisation would come up with these. So we would be make initial contact via email, for example, and obviously the customer's preferred choice will be there. You can see that now we've saved it as well, we get this business process flow which helps guide the users through the actual process to make life a bit easier for them. So if we move to the next stage, we can see here as well that the fields I've completed here are replicated here. So I can then add the customer's preferred option. We can put for the noise at weekends to stop. Okay, we're going to progress this to the next stage. You can see here, because I've said yes, we now go through to the initial assessment stage. We select our ASB case here. So, does the customer feel they're at risk or immediate danger? We're going to say no to that. Call the police? No. Anyone else at risk? No. So we're basically just saying that there's lots of noise at the weekend. So relatively low level. Now from here, we'll just hit save. We get the detail. We've got the due date, so we've got an SLA built in there of when the initial response should be and when the full written correspondence would be due. And then obviously you can log when you did the actual response and the full response. But in the meantime, we're going to go to our risk assessment, and this really is then how we ask the questions to identify the level of risk, and then obviously that helps drive our response. So how often do we have the problems? It's most months, so it's not that often. Do you think the current instance is linked to previous instance? I'm going to say no. Do you think the instance are happening more often or getting worse? No, not really, it's just noise. Do you know the offender is? You know each other well. Does a perpetrator or associate have a history? So we're going to say no. So you can see as you go through, you can answer these questions. I won't go through them all, but the idea is at the end of this, after we've asked these questions, we will then get a risk assessment score. So once we hit save, we now can see we've got a risk assessment score that's been driven by how we've answered these questions, and we can see that the severity is low when an action plan is due. And again, this is an SLA that's built in. What we can also do is link other parties to this ASB. So we go off here and we find the customer, the one that's actually causing the problem for our resident. So we're just going to go Susan there, and her role. We can see we've got lots of different roles here, but our main one is going to be the alleged perpetrator at this point, and save and close. So we have all that detail there. We could have had a description with a bit more information. Then what we can do from this point is walk through and start adding more detail. So we're going to set a little task for ourselves. This might be to complete initial checks. So you may check the tenancy, etc. And you give yourself a due date. We save and close. So these activities could be allocated to others as well. You can also, as you can see here, we can send an email to the customer. We can also obviously create an appointment to visit them, or we can create tasks, which is kind of captures everything else we may need to do for the customer. So this goes on obviously until you're prepared to then close the actual case. And at this point, we move to the outcome, and then we can put agreed to keep noise down, and the resolution date as well. So you've got that information. We can hit finish, and that'll obviously close our case, but we have all this detail in one area to look at if we need it. From a reporting perspective, we can use these dashboards to really give us a feel for the ASB issues that are affecting our organisation. So we've got here, there's 2 open cases that relate to damage to property. We've got 4 that relate to noise. We can see here their risk scores. Obviously 32 is higher than 11, which is obviously a low risk, and that's broken down here again by the pie chart here, which just identifies those that are in low, high, and normal risks. And then any open activities that are due within the next 3 days. We can see here that we've got a task to actually go and complete some initial checks to make sure that's done in time. We've got this listed here as well. So as a manager, it gives you the information to hand if you need it. You can obviously drill down into the detail by then selecting this high one. We'd obviously be quite worried about that. And we can go in and actually look at the detail behind that if we need to as a team. So you can see there that it's quite a powerful tool to have at your fingertips, and lots of information there that enables you to respond and support customers. Thanks.